loaded, most certainly. Yeah, I get it loaded. You just ride the play. If you ride the play.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Solo E, and in this video I am actually going to be showing you how you can build a small account from 50 to 100 up to $500 without using any indicators in pair price action and market structure. So when you guys are trying to be more profitable in the forex market, instead of waiting on these lag indicators, you can actually get on right at the right time just by using pair price action and market structure. So let's go ahead and jump straight to it. So when we're trying to focus on creating a story with price action and market structure, you got to understand the basics of support and resistance. And if you don't know that, well, basically, to sum it up, support is the very bottom, and in order for support to be formed, it has to hit that same area twice. Now, support can actually be seen diagonal or it can be seen sideways. Same thing applies with resistance. Resistance will be at the top, and that can also be seen either as a diagonal trend line or a straight trend line, just like that. So when you guys start to notice when price will either create something called a pattern, known as more like a channel, it will do something like this, known as a downtrend. And in this downtrend, we are still getting resistance and support, which is basically here. And I'm gonna go ahead and mark it. So here we have support, and then the top part is basically our resistance area. So after we established our resistance is top, our support is below, now we can kind of understand what happens from here. And then let's go ahead and talk about structure and how you guys can enter in trades. And it's very quite simple. So first thing and foremost, when we are looking at price, we have to identify the actual trend. We have to first establish, is this a downtrend? Is this an uptrend? We got to figure out what's going on. So since market is trending down, what we do expect in the downtrend is price to continue to shoot down. Now, however, once you start noticing that price isn't trying to break the previous low, that is where you can start ideally getting the idea that maybe price might reverse, because what happens is price will create something called a price action pattern, which will form either like a double bottom, and you'll see actually one right here, or a double top, which will be something like this here, or something like a head and shoulders pattern, or something else as far as like an inverted head and shoulders, triple top, triple bottom. So we kind of have a head and shoulders pattern here. Let me move it over so y'all can see what I see, and then you see price reverse. So essentially that's what price does. So how can we figure out the potential price action pattern and the potential reversal? If we look left, you see downtrend, right? Let's say that we draw our diagonal trend line, and all we're doing is just connecting the dots until we notice that it hits multiple times. Once again, this is resistance here. Once resistance is only formed once it hits an area twice. So we have our first hit here, second, 3, 4, and then 5, and then 6. All right, so we have 6 different hits off of this trend line known as resistance. So we can essentially use this just to help identify that, all right, if price breaks out of this trend line, we may expect a reversal to the upside, or if not, it may consolidate sideways, giving us a range and motion and then continuing back down. So what we really want to see right now at this very point is just structure breaking, resistance break being broken, and support being broken. So now when you guys start noticing that, all right, we see price created a new low. This is a new low. Let me go ahead and start from the top. So here is our first low, and then once again price broke out and created what we call a new low. Now as you see, price kept shooting down, and then we actually got more resistance and support here. So this is actually more support because it is basically 2 hits. We have one hit here off of the wick rejections and another hit here off of the wick rejections. So as you see, with this engulfing candle, price decided to shoot down. Now your question may be, if we were to actually play this back here, your question may be, oh, we might have a double bottom. Actually, let me go ahead and buy it now. No, that is not the case. What you will want to wait on is price to break previous structure to the upside, which whatever the previous high is or the previous low is, known as previous resistance or previous support, which is essentially right here. However, we didn't get that. We got to follow up engulfing candle, which I'm gonna actually talk about in a little bit on what you need to look for to enter. But we kept seeing buyers in the market or sellers in the market taking over, so we're just basically patiently waiting. So as you can see, price is still shooting down. We're not getting any breakout yet. Price is still shooting down, price is still shooting down, price is still shooting down. So while price is still shooting down, you still should have your bias to the downside instead of you sitting here waiting on price to reverse. If you're playing that game, then you forever will be waiting. So essentially what we want to do is just simply, every time we notice market creates a new high, what we're going to do is use this trend line and drop from the previous highs. So here right now we see wick rejections. Why did I use this area as my previous high? Because we had one hit here and essentially two hits there off of that little wick, a couple pips away. So that is my highest point at this moment. So that being said, if market continues to break out of this and then retest this area, I will be looking for buying setups. Now I'm still looking for selling setups. So we notice that now our actual diagonal trend line has broke, which is also our resistance as well. So now we're just kind of going to sit here and kindly wait to see what happens. So as you see, price is now shooting down, created a new, once again, resistance known as support. It was support here, now it's resistance, but a new structure known as a lower high. So now since it created that, this is what we're going to wait for. We're going to wait for price to either break out from this bottom trend or this top trend line that I have formed. This bottom trend is the previous low, and then this top trend is the previous high. So all we're waiting on is a simple breakout. And as you see, price is just fluctuating around this area. So then now what you can expect, and once again, since price already broke this resistance line, we kind of want to see what's going to happen here, because we can ideally see that the trend may been finished, or what it actually may end up happening is that we might just get this move that I actually mentioned earlier, price which is range, and then continue back down. If that's the case, then we will sell the breakout. But since price already broke out of our diagonal trend line, we are just going to wait to see what price brings us next. So let's go ahead and just constantly wait and see. So now we got the breakout of this high. So before we enter in for a buy, we need a retest first. So let's just sit here and wait on a retest. And as you guys see, price broke the next high. So ideally, since we didn't do our top down analysis, this would be our bigger major structure, meaning if we were to go on a 4 hour, because I'm on a 1 hour, or maybe the 2 hour, this would be our actual major lower high. One thing that I actually say all the time is you want to do a top down analysis, but I'm just giving you guys this rundown because whatever I do on this 1 hour, you will apply the exact same thing on the 4 hour, on the daily, even going down to the 30 minute, the 15 minute, and even a 5 minute, and even a 1 minute. Nothing changes, guys. You just have to apply the exact same thing on this time frame that I'm doing on any other time frame. So right now we're just waiting to see what happens. So now that price broke out of our highs, the next question is, when can we expect price to continue back up after the pullback? So let's sit here and wait on a further pullback, and then now let's talk about it. So your question may be now, when do I buy into the actual trend? So let's go ahead and let's talk about price action. Okay, so here's what we have when we are actually looking into price action now. So let's say that we got the market to break the actual previous high or the previous low, in this instance to the upside, so it broke the previous lower high. Now we need to wait on a pullback. Now when a pullback is happening, you don't know when to enter. You don't know, should I enter off just the fib retracement? If you guys use the fib retracement, meaning that, oh, once it hits the 50% or the 618 or the 786, I'm gonna just buy it. Well, no, you don't want to do that. You want to actually wait until you see price tells you otherwise. So that being said, I have here of what you're looking for in the market. So your main focus is going to be wick rejections, either the top or the bottom of the candle. So if we are looking at a buyer's market, which will actually be over here to your right, the buyer's market, we need to see more wicks at the bottom and then strong bodies, and or we need to see an engulfing candle, and an engulfing candle is a candle that covers the previous candle pretty much ×2 if you can get that. This is also including wicks. So if we had, let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So let's say we had a red candle like this, and then our bullish candle end up being something like this. That is invalid. We need it to be something like this, because it's going to close here, because this is where the closing candle of the red candle would be, opening of our bull candle would be here. So we would need an engulfing candle to cover the previous candle, essentially just like this. Cannot come like this, cannot come like this, cannot come like this. It has to pass the wick also in the body. So if we can get something like that, then we know that the buyers are strong in the market. So we're basically looking for the same reaction. Now let's say that we do get an engulfing candle and we get a wick rejection at the bottom, let's say a wick rejection something like this, and we got a little green candle like that, is that enough momentum for you guys to buy? It is not. We need to see more power moves. We need to see bigger bodies. We need to see previous candles showing us more wicks at the bottom. Now if I was to move this candle over to this side, and then let's move these candles down, let's move this one down. If we were to get something like this, now a lot of you guys would probably say, oh, this is a price, this is a candlestick pattern. If you deviate what candlestick pattern you understand, just pay attention to the wicks, because the more wicks that we get at the very bottom and the less wicks we get at the top identifies that this is soon a buyer's market. Even also, if we go back and look at market structure, you know that it was breaking previous highs. So we now know that this is a buyer's market. So this also applies in the seller's market too. So now let's focus on this actual move here. So we see that we have a nice little green bull candle, but this isn't enough buying power. Why is that? Because if you look at the previous candle, look how big this red candle is compared to this green candle. Even though we created new highs and we know overall this is an overall buyer's market, I still want to establish that I am going to enter in the right position, because what can happen is you may enter in this candle right here, and then the next moves go down and then it booms up. Since as you guys are being more of a day trader, you kind of want to be more detailed and focused within the moment. So within the moment, we know that the previous candle was red. We know that it was pretty strong. This isn't even engulfing the previous candle. Even though we do have a wick here, that is not enough power for you guys to enter. So we're just going to keep playing. And as you guys see, the candle is red. And then now we got another green candle. So you see another green candle, you see that it is still not engulfing the previous candle. So we're just going to wait. So now you see that this move here, you're like, oh, well, now I can see buyers in the market. So this could be an opportunity for you guys to even buy now, because now we have enough power to say that the buyers are in the market. So now here's the next question. So now your next question may be, all right, now I got my entry. Where do I put my TP? So typically I use the Fibonacci to figure out my TP levels and so forth. But since we're just focusing on market structure today and price action, what we're going to do is just do simple 1 or 2 trades. And then also, if the trade looks beautiful, we're going to keep riding the trade further on. So let's go ahead and put a long position here, and then we're going to do just pips away from where that wick rejection is at. And then we're just going to do a simple 1 to 2 trade. So as you guys see, the trade has ended up smashing. So now we have one winner for the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that as one winner. Just move it up and just put 1 W. All right. So now that we have one winner, the next thing we're gonna do is wait on the exact same thing. So I just want to remove this because I don't want to confuse you guys. So then now your question is, all right, where's my next previous, since this is an uptrend, where's my next previous high? It is here right now. So we need the exact same thing. Let's say we even got in this move here because price broke and then it retested this high, gave us wick rejection with this move right here with this bullish candle, bearish candle, and then we have an engulfing candle. If you guys look closely, you guys see that this is engulfing the previous candle. So let's even say we did another trade here, a 1 or 2. So before I continue, because I want to show you guys, you have another opportunity. We have a bullish engulfing candle here, so we can actually take another opportunity if we want to, but we're still in this trade. We're going to actually play this trade out, play it through, play it all the way out, and then we're going to also hop in this trade too. So let's go ahead and do another long position. Stop loss would be a couple pips away from there, and we're going to do another 1 or 2. So our first TP, or our second trade, looks like we took the L, but the other trade we have is still running. So we're going to basically say we have 1-0 or 1 loss. And then now, once again, now here's the thing. Just because your stop loss has actually been hit doesn't necessarily mean the break of the trend is going to reverse. So what we're going to do is remove that one because that one is irrelevant, but we're going to look for another opportunity. And the reason on why I am still interested in the buyer's market is because, guys, we never broke this low. And let me go ahead and move this over here. We essentially actually never broke this low. Once we break this low, then I am going to basically be looking for selling opportunities. So seeing that actually price consolidate for a little bit longer, we had another engulfing candle here. We got a lot of wick rejections. This is a perfect buying setup. So we can even do another 1 or 2 trades. Stop loss is perfect right there. Another 1 or 2 right there. And then let's see how these trades play out. So it looks like we definitely smashed both TPs now, but we definitely smashed both TPs with this trade here and then this trade here. So now we end up having 3 wins and 1 loss. So then now, as you guys see, pretty much we just keep doing this and keep doing this until we start noticing the trend has basically fell. So your question may be now, and we're actually going to go ahead and skip through all this. Your question may be now, well, we will have losing trades. We for sure will have losing trades. How can we identify the losing trades? Let's talk about it. So let's say that we got in the market again because we noticed that price created a new high. Now we're just simply waiting on a new higher low to be formed. So the most recent low will actually be here and then also here for major structure. What I mean by major structure is when we notice market breaks this low, we can expect price to even shoot down further. All right. Or also, once again, you got to realize that these levels is very important. Or what can happen is if price decides to break this low, which is this is a higher low, it can actually come here and then bounce back up to continue to create new highs. So we got to be very cautious of what's going on with market, and that's why we got to always make sure we're on our P's and Q's. So once again, if you're in a smaller time frame, it does get a little bit more difficult because the price moves a lot faster and you have to really be on point when it comes to identifying these trends. But let's go ahead and play it through, and let's say that we're waiting to see what happens. So we now see market broke structure. So since market broke structure to the downside, all I want to now see is a pull from up here and then the market to show me that the sellers are interested for me to take some sales. So let's see what we get. So we don't really have anything going on now. I'm waiting on a pullback, still waiting on the pullback. Right now we're consolidating very heavily, and it looks like now we're getting that pullback that I asked for. We getting some wick rejections, and the reason why I don't just always buy when I see a wick immediately is because price can still shoot up a bit. So we're getting wick rejections. It looks like now we got our candle. So then now, if we want to, this is another opportunity for us to take a short position, and we can short it here, stop loss a couple pips away from there, and we're just looking for a simple 1 or 2 trade. Now, as you guys see, this is still consolidated and looks like it's going to stop us out eventually. And when stuff like this happens, it happens. So as we notice price is still consolidating, what I tend to do is just adjust my highs and my lows, meaning I'm looking for the most recent high, I'm looking for the most recent low. So before I continue on, I just want to show you guys that this trend line is still active because it's acting very well now as resistance. So we're just basically waiting to see what's going on. It looks like market is still going up, and it looks like it just stopped us out. So now since it stopped us out, your question may be, well, is this an uptrend now because it just took me out of my trade? In order for you to really consider that this is going to actually break to the upside and continue to the upside, it has to break this high right here. This is the most recent high right now. So now, since we're looking in the moment, we're actually now going to focus on removing this trend because I just want y'all to pay attention to what's in the moment. And then right now, these were our highs. This was a high, this is also a high, and this is also a high. So since we now have these different highs applying, what we can sit here and say is, well, now we just need to see what's going to happen overall. Can we get a break of structure to the downside or break of structure to the upside? So essentially what I like to do is I like to draw out the previous low, which is down here, and then this previous high, which is here, which basically is these levels here. Essentially, I actually like to use zone areas. Reason being is because price doesn't just hit one little line and then you call that a day. It does hit like an overall zone area, which is basically from wick to body, which would be like this. So these are my zone areas here. But essentially all we're going to do is just now wait to see what happens after price breaks out of this. If price can break out of this trend line, then I will be looking to sell. So as you guys see, we're getting a strong momentum candle here, but since price just created new highs, I don't know if price would actually do something like this where it comes up and come up and come up and then possibly shoot down. So I want to be very cautious of what's going on. So what I am going to do is just wait for it to break my lows if it does. And as you guys see, price is still shooting up. So at this point, we know price is consolidating. And when price consolidates, luckily, when you understand price action and market structure to the fullest, you guys will be able to catch these moves too. But we know it's consolidating because we're getting too much wicks going on at the top and at the bottom. So right now we're still waiting to see. So now we got the breakup structure. So your question may be, well, E, will you sell it now or would you wait on the pull? I'm still going to wait on the pullback. So let's go ahead and wait on the pullback. And then we're currently just waiting on some momentum candles to show us otherwise. And it looks like we have one here. So it looks like we got our engulfing here. What we can do is take a sell here if you want to. Stop loss is roughly around there. Let's just do a simple 1 or 2 trade. And then let's see how this one plays out. So this one was a big runner. As you see, it looks like it just stopped us on our TP with a simple 1 or 2 trade. So as you guys see, this is pretty much how you can use price action and market structure to grow these small accounts. If you just stick to a simple 1 or 2 trade, and if you stick to the same lot size until you get your account to maybe 1,000, and then you can start increasing that lot size. But as far as you guys see, we had about two losses, and overall I think we had 4 wins. So, you know, guys, it definitely plays out very well if you just stick to this rule. This works when it consolidates, and this works when it trends as well. So other than that, guys, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Peace and love. See you guys in my next video. Peace.